You just can't fold. If the opponent did make it like 10,000 though, just a little bit bigger, I would have folded in this spot, and I wouldn't feel too bad about that at all. But facing effectively a close to min re-raise, we need to call. All right, flop comes Jack 6-2.
Oh, yeah.
Giving me a pair and a flush draw. Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Little. I'm here today for PokerNews.com. Here with a hand from the World Series of Poker main event that I played. Here we're facing a raise from a loose, aggressive player in the low jack seat, playing about 150 big blinds deep, and the button also calls. I get ace-2 of clubs in the small blind, and I think you can go either way between calling or 3-betting in this situation. Typically when I'm against more generally loose, aggressive players who I think are going to fold a little bit too often if I play aggressively at them, I'm usually going to be 3-betting those players. If I think they're going to be 4-betting me a lot, like say I 3-bet them and then I think they're going to 4-bet me, I would definitely call. But as I expect them to either fold or call against my 3-bet, I'm going to be way more inclined to 3-bet the suited aces type hands. I don't really want to 3-bet this and get 4-bet. So I do go 3,800 in this instance, and I think this is perfectly fine and perfectly viable. If you're never bluffing from the blinds, you're probably just playing a little bit too tightly, and I get that ace-2 suited is perhaps a little bit on the looser side, but you know, we'll splash around every once in a while. Now, a tight player in the big blind 3-bets me. Tight player just made it 8,000. So I made it 3,800. And the big blind, a tight player, 3-bets. Obviously, the other two loose players are competent and they fold. Back around to me. Take a second. Ask yourself what you would do in this scenario. Pause the video and type in the comments what you would do here. Commit to it. Taking your time and doing this will actually make you a whole lot better at poker because it will force you to think through your decision, and then you're about to get some real-time feedback on it. So seriously, pause the video. I'm going to wait just a second for you to do that. Okay, in this spot, we hate this situation. We are in terrible shape. We're going to realize our equity poorly. However, one big thing's overriding all of that, and that is our amazing pot odds. Here we have to put in 4,000 to try to win 18,000. You think we're going to realize, call it 25-ish% equity in this scenario? Probably will, right? I mean, if we're going to realize 25% equity, we're going to profit. So look, while I do not necessarily want to be putting in 8,000 chips pre-flop in the World Series of Poker main event out of position against a cold 4-bet from a tight player, I think that's the only option with this ace-2 suited. It's going to flop well enough. Should we ever jam here? Absolutely not. Even though we have the ace blocker, we're going to be against a whole lot of aces, kings, queens, and ace-king in this scenario, so jamming is absurd and out of the question. Anytime you're getting amazing pot odds, though, with a good, reasonably strong suited hand, you just can't fold. If the opponent did make it like 10,000, though, just a little bit bigger, I would have folded in this spot, and I wouldn't feel too bad about that at all. But facing effectively a close to min re-raise, we need to call. All right, flop comes Jack 6-2.
Oh, yeah.
Giving me a pair and a flush draw. I can already tell you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to check, and the opponent bets. So now, what should we do in this situation? Should we fold, call, or raise? Well, fold is out of the question. Call is certainly reasonable. It is reasonable. However, we have to ask, what happens if we call and the opponent jams on the turn and we miss? I think we're actually supposed to fold in that scenario, which would be pretty nasty. What about if we call and we hit? Well, there's no guarantee the opponent's going to pay us, right? Because they could just be sitting here with ace-king. So I think we just want to jam it all in here. I don't think we have any other good option. And to be fair, even if I did not have the 2, let's say it was Jack 6-3, I would still just check raise all in this spot. The pot is huge. And yes, I realize that the opponent could have a hand like ace-king that's going to fold, but they could also have the overpairs that beat me. A lot of people look at this spot in the main event and think, oh, I really don't want to go broke early in the main event. But you have to realize, even when they do call you, you're going to have a solid like 38-ish% equity, maybe more, if the ace is good. Especially more when you have a pair, because the 2 is almost always good. So this is a scenario where I think our only line is to check raise all in and hope to spike. This time we do go all in early in the World Series main event, and the tight player folds. I actually remember this hand. I checked, they bet, I thought for, 20, 30 seconds, moved all in, and as soon as I opened my mouth to say all in, they were like, their cards were going into the muck. It was as if they just had, I don't even know, like 10-9 of diamonds here or something. Could you imagine if the opponent showed up with 10-9 of diamonds? They certainly could have had 10-9 of diamonds. I do want to make it clear in this hand, if we did have a better pair, I think calling is viable, but with the 2s doesn't really matter. Like I said, if we flopped any flush draw in this scenario, I'm usually just check raising all in, and sometimes you're going to lose. You have to be okay with losing. If you are not okay with losing poker tournaments may not be for you. Sometimes you're going to go broke early in tournaments, even tournaments that you care about, like the World Series main event. So get in there. Don't be afraid to battle. Sometimes it'll work. Sometimes it won't. But you're going to find it usually doesn't work out. Usually in tournaments, if you're, let's say, 1 in 7 or 1 in 8 to cash, well, that means, let's call it 7 out of 8 times you're not cashing. And you have to realize it doesn't really matter how you bust. If you sit here and you blind out, all that happens is you just have no chance of getting chips and winning the tournament. At least by playing in an aggressive, battling manner, sometimes you can get a hold of chips, and when you do, you have a chance to win the whole thing. So that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Good luck in your games, and I will talk to you next week.